everybody, and welcome to That Dog Training Show with Tanya Yarbrough. This is episode 65, entitled The Rub of It All. It's not dirty. So this is the show we talk about the dogs that we love, the love that we dogs, the dogs that we love, and the stupid human behaviors we don't, also known as shubs. So right away, I want to let you know that there are, if you are in the Los Angeles area, there are some new classes starting on Saturday, including Master Distraction, and Street Obedience and Basic Obedience. So it's this Saturday, and if you were planning on taking any classes or you were going to gift it to somebody, you got to jump on board real quick if you plan to take it from me, because the holidays kind of chops things up, and I don't think there's that many cycles to go on. There will be some Sunday classes coming up in a couple of weeks, so you'll have a second chance on just the Street Obedience and the Basic, and maybe a few movie treks, but this may be your last chance to do a Master Distraction if you're interested in that. So, and our CGC class just started this past Saturday at 9 a.m., and we have one student in there, and already it's going to be hard. So if you're interested in prepping for the CGC class, you can join in at the 9 a.m. class. It's that we didn't do a lot of physical work with the dogs. We just kind of went through the test with the owner or the owners and just kind of, worked it out. So you'll be able to catch it up very easily. All right, so I was kind of inspired by today's show, the rub of it all, with a certain scenario. I've been helping someone who has a actual doctor-prescribed ESA, and we have to find the dog, and we're going to shelters once a week to try to find a dog that's appropriate for this person, this gentleman, and there's a caseworker involved and all this stuff. So, and this is an 18-month to 2-year commitment on my part, and on, of course, his part. So, once you find the dog, even if it's got the right temperament, it likes the smell of the gentleman, they seem to be bonded in some way or shape, it's still quite a bit of intensive work. And this dog, he is retired, so he is going to be with this dog 24/7, except for a few minutes or a few hours on any given day. And that will not be every day. So, literally, he's perfect for having, this is all he wants to do with his life. This is the goal of his life, is having a dog, working the dog, interacting with the dog, and training the dog as I teach him to train the dog. So this is, the ESA, an emotional support animal, supposed to go with the person on traveling public transportation, as well as anywhere they may sleep, which is a hotel or his own residence. It does not have full public access to that with it. But this dog has got to learn to do, ride on subways and ride in trains and ride in taxis and all that sort of stuff. And that's a lot of work. So, and he's going to be an integral part of, the training of this. So we went to a particular shelter this last week, which I will not mention by name, as tempting as it is. And we did find a dog that seemed to respond to him very well. And immediately we were kind of greeted, once we told them which one we were interested in, we were greeted with this sort of, that dog came up to you to the front of the kennel? And we're like, yeah. So he was interested in this husky. And if you don't know about huskies, they're very smart dogs. They're very determined, but they're also very friendly and bonded with a family that actually they're with. So once they choose a family or choose an owner, once they've decided they like you, that's it. They like you. And they're generally very friendly, but, you have to work them. But guess what? This guy has nothing to do except take care of himself and the dog. So he will be working her. Anyway, they were like, okay, well, now we need to talk to an adoption counselor. So we talked to this lady, and she's like, well, and I explained who I was, that I was a professional dog trainer. I didn't give out a card, but I got the sense that I was not really believed that I'm a professional dog trainer because I was wearing, I don't know, crappy clothes, because I work with dogs, so I wear crappy clothes. So you don't usually see me dressed up walking down the street on a given day. I have to actually work at that. So the deal is that we got kind of the push around about, this dog is hard to deal with, they're vocal, they go after animals, da, da, da. It's not totally true, but, and I just responded, yes, Mm-hmm. And she didn't ask me anything about what the dog was going to. I said ESA, but she didn't like ask like how much training the dog was going to get. She didn't ask any of that stuff. It was seems to me would be important for an adoption counselor to ask. What's the lifestyle like? What? How much training is this dog going to get? Da 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 da. So instead, I kind of got the like, well, we haven't even been able to give this dog a vaccination yet, and da da da, because you don't want to get approached her. She nips, and I'm like, okay. And she's like she's all, like, what do you mean, okay? I'm like, I'm okay with that. I got it. It's fine. She's when she's nervous, she's nippy. Huskies are mouthy. They use their mouth. They're either vocal or they use their mouth to kind of get their point across. This is not unusual, and this is not unfixable. So with that, we were asked to call back and check on and see if the dog was still there, blah, blah, blah. And so the caseworker called for me and said she got two stories at one time. And that was that A, the dog is, the owner might be coming to pick it up, and B, well, the dog did rub up to one of the employees, rubbed up against it, and then as soon as she got startled, she kind of turned around to nip. And I was just like, those words were ringing in my head. You do know about the breed, right? The woman says to me, you do know about the breed, like I'm an idiot or I'm lying about the fact that I'm a trainer and worked with Huskies before. So I was just like, in my head, just going, you do know about the breed, right? That whole rubbing up on to that person was a test, and they failed. And oftentimes that's what you're also getting with your own dog, whether it's a husky or not. But huskies and German shepherds are known to act like cats and rub up against you like they're being all so sweet. And it's not exactly what you think it is. So this show is about this. When I go to clients' houses or when I start a class, the dogs oftentimes, if I approach the owner or whatever, approach the dog's territory, the dogs tend to be right up in my space, like literally nosing me to smell me, which is silly because they can actually smell me quite far away. And it's not a gentle thing usually. It's usually a very, very forceful thing. And this gives me a lot of information about what kind of dog I'm dealing with. If a dog needs to be in my space and pressing up against me, there's a lot of weirdness going on with that dog. In other words, dominating and also insecure at the same time. So, anyway, we have engineer falling apart. It's okay, it happens. It's okay. It's all right. That's all right. It makes people interested about like why you missed a lot. All right. So yeah, the whole thing is like it gives me information about what kind of attitude that dog has, what they've been getting away with in the home, et cetera, et cetera. So let me share this information with you. I started off by doing some research. Go to blogs for dogs. They're full of a bunch of like, soft and fluffy hooey. So you have to kind of really be discerning. And you all know that when you go looking up information about dogs, you get like 100 answers to the same question. And a lot of times, just a few of them actually match. So the place I went to for the first, bring this all up was The Nest. There's a pet section, so if you go to like pets.thenest.com, you'll find a lot of information. So this was a article written called Dogs Who Press Against You by Jane Williams of Demand Media. And actually, I don't think I have the date on here. Hold on a second. No, the date disappeared on me. So I'm sorry, I do not have the date on it, but it's Dogs Who Press Against You by Jane Williams of Demand Media. So basically, she was saying what I tell my clients and students all the time, that the context has a lot to do with what a dog means when they're doing something, and that includes rubbing up against you, etc., leaning on you, or whatever. One thing she says is like, there's 3 categories she brought out, and that is, I'm in charge. The dog is saying, I'm in charge. So if your dog is trying to lay claim to leadership of the pack by expanding his personal space into yours, he's like, personal space is a power thing for alphas. So if you are the one who gets touched and leaned on and pushed around, or you have to walk around your dog to get through the house, you are the lowest on the totem pole. You are the pushover. That means that you are not the boss, which also means that your dog cannot trust you to be in charge of other things in their life. So a lot of times people are just a little too soft and fluffy with they let their dogs push them all over the place. And when you do this, you have no leadership skills, no leadership status, I should say. So sometimes it's a rub up, sometimes it's a paw on your foot. It's not always just, just the body rubbing up like a cat, but sometimes they just step on your foot. So if you experience one of your dog's back paws on your foot as they face forward or perpendicular to you, they are definitely taking charge of you. It's like a body checking thing, playing basketball, checking the defensive player behind you while you're looking to get open for a pass. You're like, okay, I got this. I'm open I'm looking at, I'm alert of my whole situation here, da da da. And you're the fool that needs to be protected apparently because you're not, and your dog, just take post up on you. And of course, when we're dealing with dogs, they're still submissive animals. They're domesticated animals. Even a husky, okay, who's very independent-minded and very smart and very manipulative, like a few other breeds I know. But when you're dealing with a dog that has actually been domesticated, i.e., it's a dog, they can't handle taking on all that responsibilities, and it creates anxiety, and how they manifest that depends on their personality. And when you're dealing with a very independent dog, there's a very good chance that they can go aggressive very quickly, or they become very timid and then become aggressive, which was the situation with this 1-year-old husky in the shelter. And by the way, the owner did eventually come and pick up their dog, but so they weren't lying to me, but it was kind of weird how they were going back and forth, trying to prove their point. So the deal is that when you have a dog like that and they lean up on you, it's very possible that they're saying that they're in charge because they clearly don't believe that you are. And if you're the kind of person who goes, oh, you're such a pretty girl all the time, you are not in charge. That's just the way it is. So they have to. All right, so that's one big meaning right there, which is what I'm really checking for when I first meet a dog. And a lot of times, when it comes to a dog that's used to being in charge with their owner, and I approach and I don't let them touch me, they get upset. They'll growl. They'll back up and they'll growl and they'll lower their head, or they'll suddenly become timid, act timid. They were already timid, but they'll act timid and start hiding behind the owner. And all I've done is kind of stepped into their space. So with that, a lot of times the dogs don't like me right away. I'm not there to be their best friend. I'm there to assess the situation and let them know that they're no longer going to be in charge. You should see some of the eyeballs I get from the dogs when the owners start picking up on these skills, and they just look at me like, you bitch, you're gonna die. Not that they're going to do it, but they give me these little evil looks as they know that as I'm giving instructions, the owners do it, and they just look over at me like, you. So this is what you got to watch out for. I'm in charge, that kind of thing. So another thing is protect me. You say the dog does see you as the boss, they trust you, or they have to trust you, and they come over and lean on you or step on you or rub up against you, it's very likely that in that situation, they're actually asking you to protect them. The problem is that when you make physical contact with a dog who is insecure, you are now reinforcing that insecurity. It's actually a vicious cycle. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So now they're even more insecure because they took the affection that self-reinforces their own negative feelings. Okay? So this is kind of a big problem. This is also, sometimes exhibited by a step on your foot or leaning on your chair. If you're sitting on a couch and they're touching the couch, they're doing the same thing. It's either ownership or protect me. So you want to watch out for that sort of thing. It could mean that. Sometimes, though, I'm going to go through these scenarios. You can't tell until you see something else happen into the equation and see what the reaction is. Like when I step forward towards a dog that's kind of like Mr. I'm in charge, and all of a sudden they go, no, and they start hiding their head behind the owner, and I haven't done anything to them except take their space and smell like, don't fuck with me, that kind of thing. So that's what it is. So if you do that, I won't know that dog's insecure